All right, so as we alluded to in the beginning of the show, the Dallas Cowboys beat the Philadelphia Eagles 41-21. And it wasn't even it was close for maybe a quarter, and that's because Philadelphia got lucky. Got a safety in the end zone. Dak had the ball swatted out of his hands. They got a touchdown there, but then Dallas came right back down the field and made it happen. A couple of drives later. In that game, Dak Prescott was just phenomenal, right? 21 for 26, 328, 3 touchdowns. Dak did run the ball 9 times in this game. I made a joke that Dak had no interest in wanting to run the football because of the leg injury. Ran 9 times, 6 yards, a bogus non-touchdown call. Did you see Dak sneak it in? And the referees did a turnover. That was bogus.
I did see him sneak it in. I saw him reach it across the goal line. I saw the camera angle from above, and still those refs said, "Nah, we don't see
man.
it. It's inconclusive. We don't think he scored." It was just a bunch of bullshit. I couldn't believe it.
It was bogus, man. And one of the storylines coming in, everybody wants to make this big deal about Zeke versus Tony Pollard. Everybody wants to make this big deal. Like one of them has to be the guy and the other one can't play, this is the issue with fantasy football. This is the issue. We want one guy to be the guy. We want one receiver to get all the receptions, all the targets. We want one running back to get all the carries. We want one quarterback to throw for 400 yards and also rush for. That's not how the game is played, man. Like, that's not how it's played. The way that Dallas is utilizing Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard is exactly what Dallas needs to do to win games. They have a two-headed, dynamic running back duo. I would say up there with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt is the top 2 running back duo in the NFL right now. And they serve different purposes. There are things that Tony Pollard can do that Ezekiel Elliott is not as good at doing at this stage of his career. Explosiveness. We talked about that last week with the explosive runs. We talked about how many 15, 20, 40-plus yard runs Zeke has in his career, let alone this season or last season. And we see what Tony Pollard is able to do when he gets those touches, and that's exactly how they need to be used. People who really believe that Tony Pollard can go back there and carry the ball 22 times a game, catch the ball forward, get 25-plus touches, you're out of your mind. He's never done that in his career. At Memphis, he never did it. He's not built that way to do that. The way that Dallas is utilizing these two backs is perfect for today's NFL and is also still going to yield us very positive fantasy football results. Zeke, 17 for 95, 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard, 11 for 60. Zeke also had 3 receptions, 21 yards, almost had a receiving touchdown. Tony Pollard, low end on the receiving games. I don't think he hit his reception prop, 1 for 5. But they serve a very good purpose, and they work in tandem together. It's like Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara. They do not have to be independently the guy by themselves, and I'm sorry it's not going to happen. So you can stop trying to pit one against the other. Oh, he's so much better. Tony Pollard is the more explosive back. Well, Tony Pollard can't grind out those hard yards like Ezekiel Elliott. Like, he's powerful. He's a powerful, chain-moving running back at this stage of his career who has more than enough burst to rip off decent chunk plays. You know, I've said Zeke is the king of the 7, 8, 11-yard run. That's what he does. He helps move that offense, and last night was a prime example of probably how they need to be utilized moving forward, and Ezekiel Elliott led that backfield in touches with 20. 3 receptions, 17 carries, and he yielded great results. The Cowboys won that game. Dak isn't asked to throw the ball a zillion times a game. He was incredibly efficient, 21 for 26, 238, and 3 touchdowns. Leading receiver on the night. Surprise, surprise. Dalton Schultz is good. I mean, it seemed obvious last season when he had over 600 receiving yards playing tight end, and everybody wanted to bury him and say, oh no, Dalton Schultz stinks. The only reason he got to play is because Blake Jarwin was hurt. If it wasn't for Blake Jarwin being hurt, Dalton Schultz wouldn't have got the opportunity. Well, you know what? Blake did get hurt, and Dalton Schultz seized his opportunity, and he earned the targets that he's getting. So finally, all of you Blake Jarwin truthers and Dalton Schultz deniers can go to fucking bed because it's a wrap. Like, this dude is not leaving the field. This is what I've been telling people for months. He's not coming off of the field. He led the team in receptions yesterday and yards. 6 for 82, 2 touchdowns. Led the team in targets. Do I expect that to happen every week? Absolutely not. I'm not sitting here saying that Dalton Schultz is a top 10 tight end, top 5 tight end. What I'm telling you is he's not coming off of the field. He's good in he's a good blocking tight end, and he's a phenomenal receiving tight end. And I think as he continues to grow and develop in this offense, he's only going to get better and better and better. And right now, I mean, when you're talking about confidence and getting the targets, I mean, outside of CeeDee Lamb, who else are you most confident? Are you more confident in Amari Cooper or Dalton Schultz commanding some targets? I think those underneath opportunities are going to be there for Schultz for the entire season. Now, switching to the defensive side of the ball, Jay, listen, man, Dallas has 2 young stars on the defensive side of the ball. Stars. Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs are stars. Diggs had a pick 6 in the game. Micah Parsons all over the field, had half a sack, 1 tackle for a loss, 4 total tackles in the game, chasing down Jalen Hurts on the sidelines, wreaking havoc. There was a play where Landon Dickerson pulled. He sidesteps him, hits Jalen Hurts in the backfield, just exerting his dominance on the field. And those 2 players have single-handedly changed the way that Dallas is playing defense. They are down their best pass rusher in DeMarcus Lawrence, and it doesn't look like they've lost a beat. And I get a lot of people will say, oh, it was just Philadelphia. Well, they did this. They pressured Tom Brady. They got after Justin Herbert. 8 pressures alone for Micah Parsons versus the Chargers. It's time to put some respect on Dallas's name. This is a good football team. Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore dialing it up. Dan Quinn having his ultimate chess piece in Micah Parsons and then having a lockdown cornerback in Trayvon Diggs allows a lot of flexibility on this team. And Dallas should be the odds-on favorite to walk away with the division in the NFC East, earn a home playoff game, and have an opportunity to make some noise in the playoffs. And that's what Dallas is. Dallas is a solid football team. I'm not going to say that they're a contender today. I'm not going to say that they're better than the Bucs. I'm not going to say that they're better than the Rams. But outside of that, in the NFC, I think there's a case to be made that Dallas is the 3rd best team, 3rd, 4th best team at worst in the NFC. That's where I'm at with the Cowboys. My unbiased Dallas opinion as I rock the CeeDee Lamb jersey. He almost had a touchdown last night. But what are your thoughts on Dallas and everything that I just talked about with this team, with the performance last night, Tony Pollard, Dak, Zeke? What do you want to talk about?
Man, that was a lot to digest, but I'm just, I'm taking it in with the viewers, with the listeners. It's been a real fun ride with the Cowboys. The Cowboys have been that high-powered offense, but now they've kind of decided, you know what? We don't want to be that anymore. We don't have to win that way. We can win by overwhelming the defensive line, by playing good in the run game and in the pass game. They're not so one-dimensional anymore. They're playing both in the run and the pass. But to talk about Zeke, I don't know what kind of cameras they have in Dallas. I don't know how they operate the broadcast. He looked more explosive than he's ever looked. He looked more explosive than I've ever seen him look, period. I don't know what they're doing in Dallas, but he was looking very, very good. If he does that every game, they are going to be an extremely good football team. And like you talked about with Tony Pollard, he looked great as well. They didn't have to use him as much, which was great to see. He got a bit of a break because he's had a slightly heavier workload because Zeke's been bottled up at the line of scrimmage. He's been able to get on the edges. But even the receivers, they didn't have to do a whole lot. Amari Cooper dealing with his cracked ribs, so he didn't get overly involved. Only 4 targets. Dalton Schultz really picked up the slack in that department. Clearly, the Eagles are beatable by the tight end. Dalton Schultz was open pretty much all game long.
Yeah.
And then with Dak was just, to the point where you'd go as far as to say surgical. Like, he was that good,
yeah,
especially in the first half. Second half, he kind of took the gas off a little bit. They ran the ball a little bit more. But in the first half, he was just dotting every throw. Other than, like you said, the 1 sack fumble in the end zone. Everything else was perfect. And I just loved him commanding that offense. He's gaining more and more confidence each and every week. And to be honest, man, I think you can make a case for Dallas over the Bucs. But I don't know if that puts them 100% at number 2. Wow. Because I'm trying to think, the Rams for sure number 1.
Rams are one.
the Seahawks aren't very good, but they are good. The Niners aren't very good, but they are good. Because the West, right? The West is really good. I don't want to diminish how good they are. But I honestly think a case can be made. And the reason why is because of how good they looked in week 1. And then on top of that, how I project that offense and defense to evolve and get better throughout the season. To be this good already, we know they're going to get better. They're still so young. Micah Parsons is running sideline to sideline. Trayvon Diggs looks way better than he did last season. Way better. To take this sophomore leap, transform the defense, bring Keanu Neal in, who's familiar with Dan Quinn's defense, makes a big difference, right?
And Neal didn't even play. Neal wasn't even there last night. Keanu Neal wasn't even playing last night,
Yeah, and then I know Jalen Smith is kind of hit or miss. There's some plays he's great, some plays he's not so good, but he's a leader on that defense for better or worse, even if he's not playing that much. Same with Leighton Vander Esch. But I've loved what I've seen from the Cowboys so far, and they really put a hurting on the Eagles yesterday. It was not pretty for pretty much 3 quarters. And then at the end of the game, they started to put up some points, but it was rough.
So let's talk about Philadelphia, right? And we got to start with the quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was 25 for 39, 326, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One of those picks was a pick 6. Was not his fault. Devonta Smith falls down on the route. It would have been complete. And Trayvon Diggs is standing right there, and he gets a gift to the end zone. The other interception was that one where he threw deep. He underthrew Jalen Reagor.
Yeah.
Rager had Anthony Brown.
That was the deep bomb
beat.
to Reagor, yeah.
Yeah, that was early in the game.
First drive of the game.
Yeah, first drive of the game. Rager had him beat. Underthrown ball. Anthony Brown gets the interception. Jalen Hurts, I don't know what it was last night. First of all, the fact that Miles Sanders only had 2 carries is egregious. I don't know what that I don't know what Sirianni or whoever the OC is, but the fact that they only ran Miles Sanders twice, and it wasn't like the game was out of hand. Even when it was 14-7, you still have an opportunity to run. And I think the first carry that Miles Sanders had, he ripped off like a 13-yard run. Yeah, 24-yard run. 24-yard run. And then you don't give this guy the ball anymore. Kenneth Gainwell, 1 carry. Their running backs combined for 3 carries, 29 yards. That's what Philadelphia's running backs combined for. When you're facing a high-powered offense, establish the run. Do it. And they ran the ball 3 times for 29 yards. You're not going to win. You're not going to win football games doing that. It's the same thing we talked about Tampa Bay not having a running game whatsoever. All Dallas had to do was pin their ears back and send pressure at Jalen Hurts. Hurts had 9 carries, 35 yards. Leading receiver for the Eagles, Dallas Goedert, 66 yards. Reagor and Ertz had 53. Quez Watkins, 46 yards. Devonta Smith, 28 yards on 3 receptions on 6 targets. Reagor led the team in targets with 8. Rager's looking really good. Rager's really he's not playing Justin Jefferson level football, but he's playing a hell of a lot better than he was last season. So that's a positive step. But Jalen Hurts is the story. And the critics are going to be out in full force because there's a lot of speculation on, is Jalen Hurts the future in Philadelphia or is he not? And with Carson Wentz playing, Philadelphia is possibly in line for 3 first-round picks in 2022. We know the class is a little uncertain at the top, but you do have some talented players like a Malik Willis, like a Matt Corral, like a Sam Howell, that could be options for Philadelphia if they don't feel that Jalen Hurts is the future. This was not a good game. He did not play well. Again, he had Reagor picked off on him. I'm not going to count the Devonta. It was an interception, but it wasn't a bad throw. The throw was on the money. But, man, it was like this was the first game where it didn't even look like he was looking through his progressions. It was, if the first read wasn't open, he was taking off and running. He couldn't hit that sideline. Jalen Hurts has speed, but he's not like Lamar Jackson fast, right? There were a couple of times I thought he can get the edge. Couldn't do it. Ran down by Parsons, pushed out of bounds by Jalen Smith. He's not that type of runner. Where do you think Philadelphia is with this quarterback? Being the quarterback for the future, do you think, because next week Philadelphia's got Kansas City, and they're going to lose that game. They're going to lose that game, so they're going to be 1-3 here very, very soon. Very soon. In a couple of days, they're going to be 1-3. Where are you at with Jalen Hurts and this Philadelphia Eagles offense? his team, his future? What are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts after seeing what I know the stat line looks, he had 326. Majority of that came in garbage time. The game was completely out of reach. Where are you at with Jalen Hurts, man?
I don't know, man. It's very difficult. Week 1, he looked so good, in command of the offense, hitting every spot. But again, they were playing the Falcons, who we know are terrible. And that's not debatable now. It wasn't debatable then. It's not debatable now.
Right.
But the Eagles, we thought maybe they're taking a step forward. Maybe they're getting better. Week 2, he goes out 12 for 32, 190 yards, 52% completion percentage against the 49ers. He did run for a touchdown in that game. But this is kind of like back-to-back bad games for Jalen Hurts. And so next week, he's playing against Kansas City, who are terrible against the run. This should be a game script for Miles Sanders to go off. Kansas City is the worst run defense in all of the NFL, and they're the worst red zone defense in all of the NFL. If Jalen Hurts cannot put up, 25, 30 points on this Kansas City defense, I would be shocked, because then we have to look at the play calling and Sirianni, or who, like you said, whoever's calling the plays, and why aren't they running the ball more? Is it the offensive line, who didn't look great last night? They weren't terrible. They didn't look great. But to your point, Miles Sanders, the only opportunity he got, he ripped off for 24 yards. So for Jalen Hurts, it's interesting because he was spreading the ball around. 7 receivers over 28 yards. That's great to see for an offense. We always commend Baker Mayfield for that. We commend Phillip Rivers for that. We commend Drew Brees for that. Spreading the ball around is good. It makes it difficult to defend a defense when you don't know who's getting the ball. But at the same time, they can't be one-dimensional. And to your point about Hurts, he was skittish early. By the second quarter, he was one read, and he was rolling out to the right, like we used to talk about Josh Allen for. Same thing.
And that's what I was going to say. You watch some of the other quarterbacks over the weekend, right? When pressure is coming in, you see them climb the pocket, right? They stay with it. There were at least 3, because I actually watched the Manning broadcast last night. I liked it. I liked it. Sometimes I wish they didn't have guests on and they just kind of talked. I think it'd be a little bit better if it were just the Mannings, but I get what they're trying to do. I thought it was really good. Chris Long provided some good insight, but there were at least 3 times where as soon as Hurts was pressured, he rolled out to the right. And then when you do that, you limit your options. You know what I'm saying? If you're in a 3-4 wide receiver set, you're rolling right. Now, instead of having the entire field to survey and throw to, you've narrowed your throwing window down to 1 to possibly 2 guys at max. There were times where all he needed to do was stay in the pocket, climb forward, and he'd still have the whole field. I guarantee when we go back and watch the All-22 tape, there were multiple times where I saw Smith whip a cornerback off the line of scrimmage. But if he's playing, and it was interesting because you saw what Philly did. So if you're watching the game from the broadcast view, majority of the times Devonta Smith was lined up to the top of the screen, which would be to Jalen Hurts' left. Every time he gets pressured, he's rolling out right. So I think it was the third quarter, they flipped Devonta Smith to the right side that way to try to get some opportunity to get him the ball when Hurts inevitably rolled out to the right. He's got to be able to climb the pocket, man. And here's the polarizing thing about Jalen Hurts. We can see in the comments right now, one of the viewers said, to be fair, the Eagles O-line is not good. I don't think Jalen Hurts is the problem. And then right after that, Deshaun Watson rumors about to heat up in Philadelphia. This is the thing. Like, I've never seen people ready to give up on quarterbacks so early in their career. This is what Hurts' 10th career start,
I think.
7th start?
Like 7, I think.
7th
start. 4 last year, 3 this year.
I'm not saying he's the answer. I'm not saying he's not the problem. What I'm saying is there are some things that he is doing that's not making his job easier. If you had him in fantasy, you're probably pretty good because he still probably put up decent numbers depending on what you get for a pick 6. It's just not getting any easier. He's got Kansas City next week. They're going to be forced to throw the ball to score because I think Kansas City is going to light them up. I'm not sure if this game is in Arrowhead or if it's in Philadelphia. I don't know, man. There are some things where I just don't think Jalen Hurts is helping himself be successful. Another one, I would trade all 3 first for Watson, opposed to any 2022 class, like legal problems and all. I mean, Watson's a better quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he's on the field. I just think this was an incredible showing of how good Dallas is, right? And Gabriel said it best. Agree 100%. Commentators last night basically said this is his rookie year with only 7 starts. I mean, he's a young quarterback, so I'm not giving up on Hurts, but there are some things that we want to see him do to make his life and his job easier. And I think they need to do a better job of getting the ball out of his hands quicker. They want these long developing routes, just get it out quick. If you just continue, what's up?
Do you think that's on him though, or do you think? And I think that the tape will be telling on that. Do you think that's more on him because we saw it with the stat. Daniel Jeremiah tweeted it out, and I saw that Zach Wilson, and Justin Fields have the most sacks allowed in holding the ball for 4.5+ seconds. So is it Jalen Hurts holding the ball too long, or is it the receiver's not getting open? Because sometimes both things can be true. Sometimes it's one or the other.
It's hard to answer that question without looking at the all 22. But a lot of the route concepts that I saw Devonta Smith and Rager running were deep route concepts, which takes time. And if you're not patient in the pocket and you can't sit there, you're not comfortable, then those route concepts, you're not going to even give your receiver time to get open. And if offensive line is the crutch and Achilles heel of this team, then why would you run these route concepts that are driving your receiver 20 yards downfield, knowing your quarterback isn't going to hang in there long enough for that route to develop and the receiver to get open? So don't do that. Don't even think about just think about this. You don't have to know anything about different route combinations, none of that. Where was Dalton? If I ask you right now, where was Dalton Schultz catching the ball at? Outside of that deep seam route, he was 7
just on the outside usually.
7 to 5 yards, 7 to 10 yards was Dalton Schultz. Every time you see Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz run, they're way the hell down the field.
Oh yeah,
they're way down there. So shorten up the route. What do I know? I'm just some guy sitting in my home office watching the game on my 90-inch TV upstairs in the movie room. That's all I am. I'm just some guy. What do I know? Maybe that's what they need to do. But watching the game, it seems like they should shorten the route concepts up, get the ball out quick, and let his receivers help him out, which I don't think Philadelphia is doing a good job of that. And they failed him last night because they ran the ball 3 damn times. It makes zero sense, man. Even if you're down 21-7, that's not without the game is not out of reach. Continue to grind the ball with the talented running back. Don't get it, but Dallas is showing why. And anybody who's concerned about that offensive line versus this Dallas D-line, which I can tell you right now is not the strength of this team, it's probably the weakest link of this entire football team, is Dallas Cowboys defensive front. Heaven forbid when they play somebody that has some go-getters on that defensive line, because it can get real. It can get real ugly real quick. Which again, shorten the route concepts, get the ball out of his hands quick.